Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jon Claerbout. I launched SEP back in 1973 after a 5-year struggle to get it started. I retired 12 years ago, and today my former students are the leaders, Bob and Biondo. I've written 6 textbooks. Let's bring them up. Uh, Here's the oldest one, and the used to have to, and here's the newest one. These 2 books here I've done since I retired. Uh, Notice how short the most recent one is. I had to get this one out because I figured out how to handle non-stationarity, and that's something that's been plaguing us for a long, long time. And it uses a gradient descent method, and I thought that this should link naturally with machine learning, and so far nobody has linked it. So here we do the physics right, and there they do a lot of the nonlinearity. And I'd like to take you through some of this since it's so simple. I'd like to take you at least through the first 6 pages and show you how easy that is. We'll look at a few more pages. When I press this button, I should end out at the next link. Non-stationary, chapter 1, page 1, some introductory discussion. Here we have a convolution program. Here we have a definition of a prediction error filter. It's got a 1 as its lead coefficients, copies the input into the output, and then we have some coefficients that minimize the energy in the output. So there's a method to get the filter perturbation, and then next thing, you'd have to take this filter perturbation, add it to the filter, and there's a parameter epsilon. How far do you want to go in the gradient direction? Well, there's a little bit of theory that tells you you're going to overshoot if you don't follow this rule. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add 3 lines to that program, and it's going to enable us to solve a wonderful problem that occurs all the time in geophysics. There simply is missing data. So here's a toy data set, 4 data points, and there's one missing, obviously, in the middle here. And also there's missing data on both sides. And the data that we get estimated does a beautiful job. The estimated data does a beautiful job of fitting the given data. Okay, let's skip. We can do L1 norm. Let's skip to the end of this chapter and those applications. This also works in 2 dimensions. And we have a lot of 2 and 3-dimensional problems. Here, the ship went sailing around the Pacific. On one day, it recorded all this data, but there's a lot of gaps. And so you can use this theory to fill in the gaps. And the 2D theory is easy. In the 1D theory, you have a lot of do loops. Well, in the 2D theory, the do loops run over 2 indices, time and space in this case, or X and Y. So it's an easy theory, and I'll tell you what it does. Here's a shot gather, and you can see some very weak backscatters in here. The backscatters run in the opposite step out. After you apply the PEF, what happens? The backscatters get much stronger. So isn't that interesting? Or we can interpolate data for larger holes. Now, what I want to do is bring you up to what does geophysics people doing all the time. We are updating our geophysical models. Albert Tarantola told us how to do this. And he said, by the way, you do need to have an inverse covariance matrix. But nobody ever told us how to get that. And I'm telling you how to get the inverse covariance matrix. It comes out of these prediction error filters. I've got an example here with Marmusi, and we're not going to take the time to look at that. I'm going to get this all done in 5 minutes. But I did want to mention also we have vector valued signals are also in this book. We're only on page 40 now. And what could be that, like this could be a vertical component, this could be a horizontal component, or a P wave and an S wave, or an upcoming wave and a downcoming wave. So we got a lot of wonderful theory. Let's switch back now to the books, and I want then to leave my classroom page and go to my office page and tell you there's some political stuff at the beginning. I don't want to even tell you why it's important, but I want to bring you into the science stories. I have gathered a bunch of science stories, and they're only typically 5 to 10 minutes long, and they're really, really fun. And this is the kind of thing you want to share with your children and your grandchildren and other members of your family. I mean, some done by women, everything. Okay, getting near the end here. I am retired. I do more bicycling, maybe 30 miles a week, and I do a little gardening work, and it's time to shut down the recording.